Welcome to my studio. Hello friends, welcome to my studio. It's my refuge, it's my solace, and it's my muse, all wrapped up in the spare bedroom. I got my first tape recorder way back in 1968. It was a little 4-inch open reel job, and it was just magic with a mic. In the late 70s, a band I was playing with decided to cut a record. We did, and it was my first time in a real live recording studio. Man, I was hooked for life. So I thought, how can I do overdub recording right here at home anytime I want on a bag boy salary? Then I met this guy, Peter Kirch. While I was taking his groceries to the car one day, Peter said, you know, I do overdub recording at home using 2 cassette decks and a stereo mixer. Man, the clouds broke, the angels sang, and the rest is history. And please welcome my friend, Peter Kirch. Peter Kirch, my old friend, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Spent most of the day in my studio, so
That's never a bad place to spend time. Everybody doing well? Your family doing well?
yeah, we're good. We're good.
So what'd you work on today?
I worked on starting a new song, which was the first thing I've actually recorded into the new deck.
Let's talk about Peter a little bit.
Okay.
How'd you get started in music, and what was your inspirations early on?
Well, like many of the people you'll be interviewing in our demographic, I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show when I was 9 years old, and I never knew what it meant to be lit up before that, but I was lit up. And the sound of electric guitars and drums was what I was interested in from then on. And my mom brought home a 6-string acoustic. She was going to take acoustic, like folk guitar lessons, and she did briefly, but she was busy. But that guitar was hanging around, and after a while I picked it up and began to learn some chords and began to start to try to play.
When did you start writing music, and how did that come about?
The summer after my junior year in high school, going into my senior year, I've been playing acoustic guitar, and my mom had a way of letting you know things or teaching you things by, I believe, letting you eavesdrop on something she said to somebody else. And I overheard her say, again, I'm pretty sure she knew I was in earshot, that she thought I had some music talent and she wished I would do something with it. And pretty much right away got out my guitar and started working on chords, which ended up really being a lot like a combination of different Neil Young songs. But I worked out this thing that I called Song for Susan, which was an instrumental based on a chick I was hot for back then, and you know how that goes. And that was the first thing I actually wrote, and that sort of gave me a bit of confidence that, well, you can make up your own chord patterns, you can make up your own thing. And it was kind of illuminating that, well, maybe I can do this as well as all these other people I looked up to. Yeah, that was definitely a moment.
Well, of course, we've known each other for a million years, and you have a wonderful jazz style, jazzy style. Did that come about naturally, or did you aspire to jazz somewhere along the way?
Not so much that I aspired to jazz, but I did have exposure to it as a young person. My parents had a pretty eclectic record collection, including some straight ahead bebop records. And I remember listening to that stuff and not understanding it at all. But I thought the rhythm, right, was the swing rhythm from the drums, and the upright walking bass was just so cool. And as I got better on guitar, once I got an electric guitar, I started hearing where these things sort of crossed over in the music I was listening to, and this pretty wonderful and mysterious jazz stuff.
What influences your style, your writing style today?
I wanted to come up with guitar parts that are interesting. I've heard an awful lot of pop and rock and roll music, and I've liked an awful lot of it. So I still want to continue to write in the tradition of guitar-oriented rock and pop music, but I want to try to find things that are interesting, at least to me, and hopefully to the listener. And then about 15, 16 years ago now, I discovered a band that had been around for a long time, but I had never heard of, an obscure English band called Ozric Tentacles, who do psychedelic, progressive, instrumental rock music, largely based around synthesizers. And that just fascinated me. I'd always heard synthesizers and other forms of rock music, but never like this, where it was the foundation. And it was interesting. And more than that, it really blew me away. And I've been trying to find ways to write and play music like this in my own modest way.
Well, you've done well, man. Your stuff is amazing. What's it like to have a studio at home? And what does that mean?
I'm an over-the-road truck driver, and I've not been able to be in a band for like the past 40 years because I've been taking care of my family. I had to make a decision. So being able to record my own music at home gives me a way to do that, gives me something to work on when I'm on the road. I've always got a guitar with me, and I'm always, playing and sometimes working on stuff that I'm able to bring up here when I get home that is developed enough that I can sort of record it efficiently. Of course, my long friendship with Lou Davidson, we got into doing the same thing, where he was a professional musician, working musician. That's how he earned his bread and butter. But he always found time for me when I was in to work on our stuff, and a huge blessing in my life, and gave me a reason to keep doing this.
Which is going to be the first song that we feature?
It's Autumn Bright. It's a relatively recent song, and I chose it because I think it's pretty good, and it's an actual song with vocals and kind of a standard arrangement, so people might relate to it.
What was the inspiration for the song?
Autumn 2019, I was up here in my solace, my refuge, my home base, and I was looking out that little window right there out into our yard. The leaves had turned, they were falling, the wind was blowing, there were beautiful leaves blowing across the yard. I was just, so happy to be here, so happy to be home. And it struck me, this is things that I should embrace and should recognize in the transient nature of our lives, especially as we get to our age. And so that was the inspiration for the lyrics. The inspiration for the music was, as I was speaking of before, just trying to come up with an interesting guitar part, and I felt like I had.
I think you did. So, and the name of the song again is?
Autumn Bright.
Autumn Bright. Well, let's take a listen.
Along a bright sunny day, how many more gonna come my way? The sun streams down between the clouds, the leaves blow by dancing right out loud. By autumn bright, all too soon here comes the night. Darkness getting longer as gravity gets stronger. Held by inertia and low energy, holding me. How many times can I hide inside? You get what you earn when you take this ride. Looking out on all too bright from my window, out of sight. The leaves are falling like a sign, reminds me I can't hide from time. Skies clear, may hope arise, defeat my fear.
What a cool tune, man. Very listenable, very pleasant song. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. What do you hope people hear?
I hope people will hear someone that loves music, has some skills at music and in all of this recording production, and is trying to be genuinely creative. That's what I admire in others, and what I hope people would hear from me is my attempts to be creative. I think these are gifts of the Holy Spirit. That's, my Christian outlook on this. And I don't often reference Christianity in my music, but I do in the lyrics at times, not in a, Jesus per minute sort of way, but it's there. And creation.
I felt that. I felt that in the song. I like it. I loved it, man. What's the next song we're going to hear, Peter?
It's called Night Lights, and it's one of my synthesizer sort of experiments.
synthesizer and say, I'm gonna do something new today, how do you begin?
I do a lot of knob twiddling and find stuff that way. It's incredible fun, and it's been incredibly inspiring. Again, to have played music for as long as we have, to find something that inspires you is awesome. But my idea of retirement is to spend a lot more time right here doing more of what I do and doing it better.
SoundCloud, is that where people can find your music?
Yeah, that's where the vast majority of my stuff is. My SoundCloud persona is PK and Company. I'm not selling CDs. I just put music out there for people to listen to, and hopefully to just get some recognition as a guy that does this.
I actually remember standing in the parking lot and you describing 2 decks and a stereo mixer. I remember that like it was yesterday. And it was transformative for me. Absolutely. And maybe I've never said it, but thanks so much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Again, I was trying to, share, hey, we can do this, and the more of us that can do this, then I'll have more people to do it with.
You inspired me to begin by that simple conversation we had. How did you begin?
I was in my senior year in college, and I was, playing with everybody that I could find. I met a friend of a friend who was Mike Mondor, and I started hanging out with him and playing with him, and it was one of those things where we played together so well from the get-go. It was, we knew it was special. But also, he had a TIAC reel-to-reel stereo tape recorder, and he was doing sound-on-sound overdubs, and he was writing his own music and recording it himself. And by golly, he didn't really care if it was anything commercial. He was just playing whatever he thought of. And I started doing that with him. And that was between the idea that you can write your own music and now the idea you can record your own music. That's what got me started. That was a huge moment in my musical life to see that being done and to understand that it can be done, and I could do it.
Wow, man, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Thanks to them. They know who they are, and I hope they'll watch this.
I'm hoping they will be, for sure.
Yes, I will certainly share the heck out of this.
Absolutely, and tell them to subscribe to the channel and all that good jazz, man.
Yes.
Well, Peter, thank you so much, for taking the time to be on the show, and it's going to be a great addition. I love having such different artists show up and be on the show, man. It just makes for a nice equation of listening, for everything.
And that's kind of the point. There are creative people all over the world doing wonderful things that don't get widely heard, and this is an opportunity.
Well, again, Peter, thanks for being here, and we'll do it again.
Yep. Thanks for including me. I love it. We love the attention.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't have left you out, man. You started this whole thing for me, so I couldn't have left you out at all. And I'll leave you to your family and stuff.
You two say hi to Elaine for me, and enjoy your evening. And again, thanks for including me. This is a lot of fun.
Couldn't have done it without you, man.
Well, that's a wrap for episode 3. And thanks so much to everybody that joined us. Next week, are we going to Philly or England? Who knows? Until then, though, welcome to my studio. If you know someone with a home studio or a songwriter that would like to be on the show, have them email us here at wtms.fridays.8pm@gmail.com.